Here's today's Spoonful of Courage. I want to just show you a verse in the Bible that just stood out to me this week. It's Psalm 116 verses 12, and it's a question. And it's a question I think we should all ponder. Listen to what David the psalmist says here in verse 12. What shall I return to the Lord for all his goodness to me? That's the New International Version. Now I want to read you the King James Version. Much more poetic. It says this, what shall I render to the Lord for all his bounty to me? Think of God and his bounty and his goodness towards you in your life. And I want you just to take some time today to stop and reflect of all the good things that God has done for you. What a question to ponder. What shall we render unto God? What shall we return to God for all of the things that he has given us? We know that we can never outgive God. We can never return to him more than what he's given to us in his grace. And that's something that should humble us. It's interesting as you look at this psalm, the psalmist had apparently went through a near-death experience, and he was contemplating that and thinking about that and thinking about God's grace for him, how he did for him what he couldn't do for himself. And one of his responses was, I will lift up the cup of salvation. I think of a toast, how you can make a toast and just toast God for what he's done in our lives, just forgiving us of our sins and bringing us into a right relationship with him. But that even means more than that. It had to do with the sacrifice, rendering up this cup of salvation. And then it says, in the presence of your people, I will return and be faithful to the vows that I made. I want you to stop today and just make a list of all the good things that God has done for you, maybe in your mind or maybe on a piece of paper. And then I want you to stop and think, well, how can I return the favor? Not that we can ever deserve God's grace or we can ever perform enough to appreciate God's, or to have God's acceptance, but just how can I, show God how much that means to me? I'm Dr. Page, the best guy to see on the worst day of your life.